Greetings, Star Wars toy fans. This is Jim. Welcome to my channel. Well, I hope you liked that video of the red tin with the fancy R2 sounds and lights, because that's the last time you're going to see it. It's been a rather trying couple of days as I've been putting together this red tin video. And I had the batteries taken out of it because for whatever reason, the R2 was draining the power of the batteries. Within a couple days, the power would be gone. I don't know where the drain was, but I just removed the batteries. When I got set up to show you how everything was put together, the R2 didn't make any sound, but the light lit up. So I took it apart and discovered, oh, one of the wires to the speaker was disconnected. So then I soldered it back on and then got called up for dinner. Came back downstairs. I mean, everything was working, light, sound, and then suddenly nothing was working. I mean, nothing. And I don't know what happened. I just don't know. So I've had this happen with several circuit boards. Sometimes they just go belly up, and that's the way the ball bounces. So I made a change here, and if I decide to put a circuit board in, I will. And I'll show you how everything comes about with that. Well, this was originally a 1995 Tonka electronic X-Wing, Tonka / Hasbro, that I acquired 2 summers ago. I was working wheat harvest for a classmate of mine driving bank out wagon, and on that weekend I stopped by the local antique store, and they had this for $5. Now, here's a picture of the 2 ships that I got for $5 a piece. $10 for almost complete ships. I mean, they were just missing the guns. But both of the R2s were broken. I mean, similar to like what's gone on here. And so the wings didn't work. And then they were really, really dirty from, I don't know where they had sat for years. And then the electronics didn't work in this. Both were missing guns. And on these, I decided to pick some up off of eBay, which you can acquire anywhere from $20 all the way to $40. I mean, they can be kind of spendy, but I figured, for $5, I can afford to get some cannons. So what did I decide to do with this thing? Well, I decided first that I was going to wire in the vintage Kenner light into the nose light. I just think that's really cool. The mount was already there. I don't remember what size LED this was, but I had this on hand from doing a lot of my slot car projects. And so I just wired that in. Now, LEDs are polarized, so meaning that they've got one side that's positive and negative. You can't interchange them. And you have to have a resistor, otherwise you could potentially blow the LED. And there is a resistor formula that you can use to figure out what voltage that you're using on your projects. This is a 3-volt system because you have 2 AA batteries. I don't remember what size wattage that is, maybe 40 to 60 watts. It's not that much. But then I soldered that in and hooked it directly to the chip here. Because what I wanted to have happen was when the button underneath goes to fire the guns, the cannon sound, I wanted that to light up. Okay, so then how I got R2 wired in. So this is the R2 that I use, or at least similar to that. You guys have probably seen this. It's the electronic version where you press that center button and then the light lights up. You have 3.5 volts in the back. So I just took the sucker apart and got the chip out of there, figured out where the connections were for the switch, and then that's where I placed the guy, right down here. This is the chip, and these happen to be the wires for the switch. And then I got the power in, and thought everything was good. Everything was working until yesterday. I built a little frame for the chip there and a frame for the speaker, drilled a hole, put a momentary switch in so that way when you press this button, it actually lit things up. And everything worked great until yesterday. So I'm just going to leave it there. And if I get a burr up my butt and decide I want to install it again and buy another R2, then so be it. I will. All right, so here's the chip underneath. And so what I've got things wired into, you can see the thick wire there. This is from the nose LED, so that's wired into the gun sound. And then this wire here is what is going to go into R2. So R2 now will flash when I press the wings and make the wing sound. Now this happened to be the power supply for R2, and I just soldered it in to the terminals there. I didn't want to unsolder it. It's a real hassle to get your soldering iron down there and not fry everything else along the way. So I just left it. Like I said, if I decide that I want to put the R2 sound in, it'll be all ready for it in the future. So this chip normally has, or circuit board normally has 4 screws. I had to eliminate one of them to get the R2 circuit board in. So these are just gonna ride underneath, and this guy, he'll just go along the side. Now I'm gonna pause the video and put these 3 screws in so as not to waste your time. Now you may be wondering, how do I figure out where to wire things? Well, it's not that genius of a system. I did try to use a voltmeter and figure out where the lights were turning on and off, or the sound was turning on and off, and you can pretty much see where this little momentary switch for the wings is going. But really, it's just trial and error. I just wired to the positive supply there, and then just touched the negative terminal until I finally saw, oh, R2 now shuts off when the switch shuts off. Okay, that must be it. Solder it in. It's that easy. Now, Evans Designs sells these little quick disconnect terminals, just these 2 pins. And with LEDs, remember, you need to have the positives connected properly, so you have your positive wire and your negative wire. And so I've gotten several requests as to how I wire this in, and so I'll just kind of give you a brief explanation, and if you'd like more further details, I can do an even greater tutorial on this. Okay, so basically the wires are fed through here, and the wings are pretty easy to pull apart. You just kind of pop these off. It's a little bit hard with this tab here, but but you can slide these off. Just be careful. And then this pin comes out. This is spring loaded here. R2 is screwed in, and you can see that there's a little shaft there, so you just take out the screw, and then what you end up doing is drilling a 3mm hole into that. Now the lights that I use are from Evans Designs, and here it is. So it's this says universal LED 7 to 19 volts. You'll probably want a 3 volt, and you'll want DC. This is AC because I use these with my slotless race cars. Slotted cars race on DC, direct current. Slotless race on AC, so you can change lanes. This is the flashing blue, so I got this for my police lights. Normal flash, you can get slow flash, you can get fast flash. You can see there that it has its rounded edge. So what I end up doing is taking a nail file that you get from Target, just filing it down flat. It doesn't take long. So then it's flush with the dome there. And these come with bridge rectifiers. If you don't have a bridge rectifier, then what you want to do is make sure that you have resistors on hand. And then you just drill that hole, and then I end up just using a bit of super glue and just gluing that in. Now, as far as placement goes, you know, that's entirely up to you. I made sure I had the center and put this off center, and figured where I was going to put the stripe. Now, how I make the stripe, it's a real complex process here. I'm being sarcastic. So the stripe is decal paper. I got this off of Amazon, laser Waterslide decal paper, Sunny Scopa, and this is clear, 10 sheets. So what I do is I decide what color my R2 was going to be. In this case, it was going to be white with dark green, which is red tins, R2X2. Take that decal paper, airbrush it, the same color that I'm painting R2. And then I just cut the stripe, or strip, whatever you want to call it, and there you can see a decal paper. And voila, you know, let it soak in water, and there we have it. As far as this little black eye there, same process. I mean, you can see where I did that trapezoidal shape right there. Black eye, just painted that, and hole punched it, and boom, there we are. So not really complex. Okay, so hopefully I haven't gone through that all too quickly. So this guy, he's kind of worthless for now, so we'll just make sure it runs along the side and doesn't interfere with anything. All right, so now we'll show you how R2 works. So when this little spring-loaded tab presses that momentary switch, that gets the engine noise. So you just press that down, and then we have the engine noise there. Okay, so we'll do our negative, do our positive, and then we will get the speaker wires there. Okay, press that down, and now you notice he quickly flashed off. That's because it's a momentary switch. Now the sound chip keeps on going, but it's just, you know, sending electricity that fast. So, but the wings will be down, and so you'll notice that he'll flash until I decide to close the wings, and then he'll stop flashing. That was the best solution I could think of after that chip just went belly up. Okay, now comes the reassembly of it. And, okay. So when you go to reassemble this, you have 4 screws. Now, you may notice on some of your ships that there's a broken post. And if that's the case, just drill it a little bit deeper with your pin vise and get a little bit larger screw. You can use the same diameter, well, longer screw. Same diameter, and then it will, you have a little bit more meat, and it'll solidify there. Grab onto. Now, this is my theory, take it for what it's worth, on why we find so many broken X-wing wings. If you open up your X-wing, you'll probably find that there are only 2 screws in there instead of 4, and they're kitty corner from each other. And my theory is that through over rough use, when kids press down this R2 button, if you don't have uniform pressure on all the sides, then what happens is it causes extra strain on these wings and they break. And that's why you see this one oftentimes broken, because the wings are screwed here and here. And then you got to repair that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook R2 up. Now, again, you want to make sure your red is going to the red and the black to the black. Really explore Evans Design's site and see what they've got. He's got a ton of stuff. I will admit, you know, I think it's affordable. I don't know now with inflation how things are. Some people may think it's a little expensive. And you can, of course, solder your own bridge rectifiers on, but they do such a nice job. And that just, you know, this can just be stuffed right behind the seat there. Now, the next process we're going to do is we're going to put in the batteries again. And then we want to put in the spring and the switch for R2. Now, be careful with these. These springs tend to fly across the room if you're not careful. There's a little tab in there, and that's just going to set in there. I lost one across the room, and if you have dark carpet, then good luck trying to find it. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on the top of the fuselage. Watch out for your nose light. And then put that in. Okie doke. Now we're going to put in our center screw. And then we will put in, make sure that the speaker wires go in so they're not getting crushed. And there are 2 little pins on the bottom there. You want to be careful with those so you don't break them off. Okay, all right. Now we'll do a test run. Okay. See how R2 continues to flash, and then voila. Okay, we'll put the nose cone on. Notice how that fits really nicely. And then we'll press the button under here, and you'll watch the nose light. Okay, now there are basically 4 more screws that have to be taken care of. And we have a screw 2 on the back. And those are right there and there. And then there are 2 on the underside. Now the nose screw here, nose cone, happens to have a flat washer on it. And just do that. I like to magnetize my screwdriver so that way I don't lose. That's interesting. I guess we have a little flaw in the system, don't we? So that's good to know. Okay. It's kind of trigger happy. That's okay. It makes for a little more fun, right? So anyway, that's pretty much it on red tin. I'll show you my custom Theron Nett in another video, how I ended up doing that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Take care. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. We'll see you on another video.